All right, let's talk about something that pretty much all of us deal with every single day, but maybe we don't always talk about it out loud, the comparison trap. We're going to dive into what it is, why it messes with our heads, and most importantly, how we can climb out of it.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're just casually scrolling, minding your own business, and then bam, you see it. Someone's incredible vacation, their new promotion, their picture-perfect family, and just like that, your own day, your own life feels a little less colorful. It's like a universal gut punch of the digital age. But here's the thing you have to understand. That feeling isn't a character flaw. It's not you being weak. It is literally a built-in feature of the human brain. Way back in 1954, long before the internet, a psychologist named Leon Festinger figured this out. He called it social comparison theory. It's this deep, primal need we have to look at others to figure out where we stand. So let's get into how this actually works. Your brain is basically running on ancient software, right? Software that was designed for a village where you might compare yourself to, I don't know, 150 people. Tops. But now we're plugging that same brain into a world with millions of people, and not even real people. We're seeing their carefully crafted highlight reels. Our comparison engine is just constantly revving in the red. You know, comparison really goes in two directions. Sometimes we look downward at people who have less than us, which can make us feel better, but can also make us complacent. But on social media, let's be honest, we are almost always looking upward at people who seem to be doing better, looking better, living better. And while that can sometimes be motivating, it is often just a super fast highway to feeling envious and inadequate. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the problem. Psychologists call it the inside-outside fallacy. We are constantly comparing our inside, our raw, messy, unfiltered reality, with all the doubts and the fears and the boring bits, to everyone else's outside, their perfect, polished, public highlight reel. And get this, the algorithms are literally designed to pour gasoline on this fire. They show you the most perfect, most successful, most extreme examples, because that's what gets engagement. It is an unfair fight from the very beginning. So all this upward comparison usually leads to one really big, really powerful emotion: envy. But here's where it gets interesting. It turns out not all envy is created equal, and understanding the difference between the two types is your first real step to taking back control. So you've got two flavors of envy. First, there's benign envy. That's the one that whispers, "Wow, good for them, that's awesome. I want to figure out how to get that too." It's all about self-improvement. But then you have its evil twin, malicious envy. And that's the voice that sneers. They don't deserve that. It's not fair. That one is driven by pure hostility. One moves you up, and the other just wants to pull them down. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Benign envy can literally be a roadmap. It shows you what's possible and what you might want to work for. But malicious envy? That's just a dead end. It traps you in this little prison made of your own resentment. You get to choose which one you listen to. Okay, so what happens when that malicious envy grabs the steering wheel? Well, it's not just a bad mood. It's a full-on physiological event. It actually hijacks your brain chemistry and kicks off this really nasty downward spiral. And when that happens over and over, it can seriously damage your mental and even physical health. And it all happens in the blink of an eye. Seriously, it's 3 quick steps. First, boom, exposure. You see the post. Second, your brain immediately goes into self-evaluation mode. What does this mean about me? It sees their success as a direct threat to your own status. And third, the threat response. Your brain literally flips a switch from being open and in learning mode to being closed off and in defense mode. And what happens when your brain is in defense mode? Your body gets hit with a flood of cortisol. That's your main stress hormone. It's basically your body's alarm system screaming danger. A little bit is no big deal, but when your feed is triggering this alarm multiple times a day, every day, that chronic stress can do a number on you. And that feeling of feeling smaller, that's not just in your head. It's the chemistry talking. Okay, that's the bad news, but we are here for solutions. So let's talk about the good news. Look, the goal isn't to somehow magically stop comparing yourself to others. That's not going to happen. Remember, it's hardwired. The real goal is to change its impact. It's about building a better filter so the comparison doesn't control you. We can do this by treating it like a workout, by strengthening 3 key psychological muscles. First, building internal benchmarks. That means the only person you're competing with is the person you were yesterday. Second, measuring things based on your own values, not what the world tells you is valuable. And third, the superpower of gratitude, shifting your mind from what you lack
to what you already have. So how do we do this in the moment? Here's a super practical tool, a 3-question filter. The next time you feel that little pang of envy when you're scrolling, I want you to just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this first question. Do I genuinely want this life, this thing, this outcome? Or am I just having a gut reaction because it's being blasted in my face right now? All right, now for question 2. This one cuts a little deeper. You have to ask yourself, would having this thing actually serve my core values? The stuff that really matters to me, like my relationships, my creativity, my peace of mind? Or would it just be a quick, sugary snack for my ego? Be honest with yourself. And finally, the reality check. This question brings us right back to that inside-outside fallacy. Ask yourself, what's the part of the story they didn't post? What was the trade-off? The 80-hour work weeks, the missed family dinners, the stress, the failures? Because trust me, there's always a price tag, and it's never in the picture. Okay, so knowing all this is one thing, but actually turning it into a real deal habit is where the change happens. So here's a simple little 7-day reset plan to help you install this new mental software. Think of this as a workout plan for those psychological muscles we talked about. Day 1 is just about awareness. Just notice when and why you feel that comparison pang. By day 3, you're actively practicing gratitude. Then day 5, this is cool. You take that benign envy, the good kind, and you take one tiny step toward a goal it inspires. And by day 7, you just reflect on how your whole internal scoreboard is starting to change. Out of all the things in the plan, this little 5-minute habit might be the most powerful. But look closely at that second bullet point, being grateful for what others have achieved. This is a total game changer. It literally starts to rewire your brain to see other people's wins as inspiration, not as a threat. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. This isn't about winning some imaginary competition against everyone on your feed. The real win is when you become so focused on your own path, so aligned with your own values, that someone else's highlight reel just becomes interesting data instead of a judgment on you. So, I'm going to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Just imagine for a second all the time and energy you spend comparing, feeling envious, feeling like you're not enough. What if you could get all of that back? What could you create? What could you build? What would you do with your one life if you stopped trying so hard to win a game you never even signed up to play?